We give everyone a moment here to log in and let's go live on the different platforms. We'll start our session. Perfect. All right. Well, welcome back to another MSP Initiative Live. Very happy to be your host today. My name is Alex Sanders. If you've not met me before, I'm the VP of Business Development over at VoIP as well as MSP Initiative. And I am extremely excited to be here with Erik Boles, who has hands down one of the most fascinating stories I've had the pleasure of running into in the channel. So I'm looking forward to diving in and digging into a little bit here. I do have a couple quick housekeeping items we'd love to run through in the beginning, just kind of tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in our world, where you guys can see us, interact with us, and then hopefully continue to bring value and education to your lives, your business, and keep making the industry better. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen real quick for some of that. First, and probably the biggest one, which is timely because Erik's my co-host today, and he is also an educator at Community Minds. So that's our next event that's coming up. It is going to be in September in Denver. This is a terrific opportunity to better your business. If you sat there and ever said to yourself, hey, I went to that trade show and I learned nothing, or I went to that trade show and I learned a little bit, but it came from the people that I talked to, the people in the hallway, the people at the breakfast line. This is what we built this off of. We listened to you, we listened to the MSPs, and we said, how can we make break down the norm and make it better for you guys? And what we heard time and time again was people go up on stage and they tell us cool things, but then they walk off stage and we have to start Googling how to start with step one. And that's not super helpful. Go to Google and tell me what the results are for build an MSP sales program out of. So we reach out to a lot of the great people we work with. Obviously, we have the pleasure of working with some of the smartest and brightest people in the industry here. So we said, hey, we have people like Erik, who's just a master at branding and marketing, and sales, and many other areas. And then we have all different people from legal, finance, HR. How can we tap into all these people and do something that's going to really push the envelope forward? And what we found was breaking away from the traditional format of get up on stage, talk to you. Instead, we want to make it really interactive. So these are 2-hour workshops. You're going to get to pick your educator. So you've got 2 days. So you get the chance at 4 different 2-hour sessions. On top of that, we've got some really terrific panels. So we go into everything from CIS controls to compliance versus security to we had a great one last time, breaking ahead of the pack. So how do you differentiate yourself when you're in a busy market? We really try to hit home on what are the things that are truly bothering you or hurting your business today, and how can we help you break past them. 2 days, pure education. The most sales pitch you're going to get is the vendor standing up in the front of the room saying, hey, my name's XYZ from XYZ company. This is what we do. If you want to talk to me, I'll be here for the next 2 days. That's it. We try to keep that very light. We do not want paid breakouts or anything like that. We wanted this to truly be just about the education, making you and your business better. So that's what interests you. MSPinitiative.com. You'll see it right at the top. Community Minds. Scroll right down. You can catch the full agenda, our panelists, our educators. I think we have the last one all set up. And go ahead and register. So hope to see everybody there in Denver on the 25th, 26th in just a few months here, September. So besides that, the last one I want to talk about is our community block parties. So these are probably the one that we're the most well known for. These have been a blast to do. We've got 4 more this year, depending geographically where you're located, or if you guys want to travel with us, feel free to. First one's going to be in Australia. That's actually going to be in August. After that, we've got kind of the gauntlet of these. We've got DataCon in Miami. We've got, actually, I'll swap these two. We've got ConnectWise IT Nation right after that. And then the final one of the year is going to be DataCon back in Australia. So 4 great chances to see our team, see some of the fun parties. We've got some great surprises planned. We are narrowing down our band. If you have not voted yet, there is a poll live on both Facebook and LinkedIn. So feel free to jump over there, put your vote in, pick your favorite band, and hopefully we can bring them to come and see you guys and perform in November. So that is it for my housekeeping. Last one I'll leave out there is if you have any questions, you need anything, chat, QA, open throughout the entire thing. If you guys need anything throughout the presentation, feel free to hop right into the Zoom, ask away. We will try to pay attention to Facebook, LinkedIn chats, etc. But those don't always make it to us live, so that's definitely the best way to ask away. Now, without any further ado, I want to take a moment and have Erik introduce himself and dive into that.
Thanks, brother, man. So good to see you. Before we
Always
do
good to see
that,
you.
I want to double down on um community minds. There's a ton of events. Like we're right now we're like Henry Tim from the Tech Degenerates tracks like all of the events, and like we're well over 150 events a year. That's one every other day. And it's because everybody's jumping on and going, we can hold an event, we can hold an event. And there's a lot of these that add value. Like I tracked the three of the biggest ones in 2023, and like anywhere between like I want to say like 63 and like 81 or 83% of their speakers were from the company that was putting on the event. That's not a conversation. That's not a workshop. That's a sales pitch. And it's a sales pitch that you paid $1,000 to hear, plus airfare, plus travel, plus time away from the office, all that stuff. The thing that keeps me coming back to Community Minds is it's a 2 hour workshop and it's a conversation. It's not a speech. It's not a talk. Like we work together collaboratively, and everybody walks away with tools. You know, Henry Tim's there, Seth Kylander from Kai Security, Matt Lee's been to a handful of them, Degley Mendez, like just so you know, Mark Menzies, like there's just so many people that I look up to that are leading just these gangster sessions that just have, you know, Brad on legal, you know, and this is stuff like let's talk about Brad as a lawyer, right? Like lawyers are not free. Lawyers are damn expensive. And if you tell a lawyer, "Hey, I just need you to send me an email on that." If it's a 3 minute email, that's 15 minutes and that's a quarter of an hour and that costs you $125. Brad jumps in for 2 hours and gives just a ton of legal advice totally for free. How you build master
Yep.
service agreements, like just so much stuff. And it's like you travel to Florida, you travel to Dallas, you travel to Vegas, whatever, for these conferences. Why are you not traveling to Denver or previously Nashville to come to a Community of Minds event? I mean, it's free. Literally, it's going to cost you a hotel and airfare, not $1,000 to get in. It's literally probably the best event in the channel, in my opinion.
I appreciate that. It's funny. You brought me back really quick to last year when we were at Denver. We did Punch Bowl Social as our fun nighttime activity. And I remember somebody talking about something they were doing in their business. And you talk about getting those 2 hours from Brad. But the fun part is it's not just that time, right? You guys are, as educators, are with us the whole time, whether it's the fun nighttime thing, the breakfast, the lunch. I just remember I was quickly at the bar, to two down from Brad, and I just saw him lean over and said, I wouldn't do that. It was like that education didn't turn off, right? You're still having time with these people that normally you pay a lot of money to get on a phone call with. And that's what it's all about. And it's smaller, so it's not, you're in a line of 300 people hoping to get 5 seconds of advice from somebody. You can have a genuine conversation. And I watched that happen, and it was really cool to watch. I mean, Daniel Hanley worked with me at Datto and came in as our finance educator. And one of the brightest people I've ever worked with from a number standpoint. And some of the stuff that he was pushing in on in terms of, hey, look, here's a quick way you could turn around those finances, and here's how much you should actually be charging for that. And, oh, if you're trying to get your valuation up, I would also affect this, this, and this. And I was like, wow, these cool to hear these as hallway conversations, right? Just elevated the whole thing. It wasn't just like, oh man, I'm annoyed with my XYZ vendor. What are you guys using? I had to truly elevated it to like business level discussions about how we can genuinely drive things forward.
Yeah, as Degley said in the chat, right? Like it's, you know, he's been singing the song for a while now, man. It's like there's just the same cookie cutter event, and this is
Oh
just so much different, you know. And again, it's not like you're going to be inundated with advertisers and all this kind of stuff and sponsors and whatever. I mean, they're certainly there. And I had some, who was the one in Nashville, the Carbon something Carbon? They build
Carbon
custom piece
systems?
Carbon systems,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, you guys are building PCs for people. And then I had a conversation with them, and what they're doing is like super gangster. Like it's really
Yeah.
dope what they're doing. And yeah, to Degley's point, right? It's all the same pitches, it's all the same talk track, it's the same PowerPoint, and this is different every single time. Like the one I'm giving in September in Denver is one that nobody has ever seen before. It's a completely new workshop from the ground up. You
Nice.
know, and you walk
Love
away
that.
with frameworks and models and stuff you can take back to your team, and you know, and I think all of the educators are that way. So anyways,
So let's get to that real quick. You given, a couple of these now. And hands down every time. And look, we love all of our educators equally, but I feel like when we do these survey results, it's like if you don't bring Erik Boles back, we're not coming. Like people
Really?
are, yeah, people love your stuff. Like the responses have been great. So
Oh,
do you want to talk to us a little bit about like give me the elevator pitch of what the last one was, and then you want to give the elevator pitch as to like what the goal of the next one is, so people can kind of understand a little bit about what these sessions might be like.
the goal of them is the exact same, and it's
Mhm.
I've even had one or two people tell me, it's like, dude, you keep saying the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, no shit, that's because I believe in it. Like, I'm not going to say something different. I'm going to keep pounding this same message, and that reality is that let's go back to when 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish time frame, like when social media, Facebook, things like that started, Twitter started to kind of pop up, and people, and what did you see? You saw like all these agencies, these marketing agencies that would go out, put a ladder against the building, take spray paint, and put digital in front of their name, right? So it was like, it was no longer Ogilvy. It was like now it's Ogilvy Digital. And like, I'm just using them as an example. Ogilvy's a great agency, but we sat down and talked with one of these agencies when I was at MX Logic, and I was like, "How do you guys approach your social?" And he's like, "Dude, this is great." He's like, "We have white belts, green belts, blue belts, brown belts, and black belts, and it depends on how much you know, and blah 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 and whatever." And I was like, "How many black belts are there?" And he's like, "Just me and her." And I was like, "Where does everybody else fall?" And he's like, "They're green or white belts." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like you can't just apply a name to it, right? And you can't
Mhm.
ignore it. I mean, if you can ignore it if you want and perish. I mean, look at newspapers were like, oh, the internet, stupid. It's a fad. They had the opportunity to become the community water cooler where people had conversation around the stories that they told. And they turned off comments because they got sick of people arguing with them because they're smarter than everybody else because they're fucking journalists. Um, not all journalists are that way, by the way. I have a lot of journalists that I absolutely love to death, especially some like in the channel that I think are just some of the greatest people ever. But they're focused on this industry and they know this industry, right?
Yep.
So what do they do? They were like, oh, the internet, digital, social, whatever. What's happening now? Well, the Toronto Star's out of business. Like there's thousands and thousands of newspapers that are out of business because they ignored what was happening. Everybody thought Twitter was stupid in 2007. Twitter was stupid in 2007. Twitter is still stupid now, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be there. Um, Microsoft has, I think, I want to say like 40 or 50 different accounts on TikTok. They have millions and millions and millions of followers and absolutely no engagement because they talk about themselves, their product, and what they do. There's an employee for Microsoft that has, I want to say like 80 or 90,000 followers, but gets hundreds of thousands of views because he talks about the tech and what it can do for you. And he uncovers cool stuff and he's a storyteller and he's a human being. So that's really the crux of all this is we are once again, and I actually believe that we are in, we went through the first and second industrial revolution. Then we went through the third, which was the technology revolution in the late 70s, early 80s. Now I think we're going through the fourth revolution, which is the human revolution. Part of this was spurred by COVID. Part of this is spurred by just being inundated with ads and bullshit and all the other stuff. And so somebody asked me on a podcast a while back, they were like, what does a marketer do? And I was like, I don't know, I'm not a marketer. Like marketers, I think a lot of marketers are not marketers. They're advertisers that took on the marketing label. And they're like, oh, we run Facebook ads. You might as well put up billboards. That doesn't make you a marketer. It makes you an advertiser. And even
Yep.
the ones that are marketers, their whole world is attribution, track it in a spreadsheet, whatever, to quote a friend of mine, Gary Vaynerchuk, what's the value of loving your mother? Like you can't track that in a spreadsheet. You don't get married to your spouse and go, yeah, we're going to get married, but we're going to give it a 90-day cycle. It's a campaign and we're going to see how it ends up at the end. And if it doesn't work out, we're going to get divorced. Like it's a long-term commitment and it's just about being human, right? And that's what we're headed into is this human revolution. It used to be think back like with your grandfather, your great grandfather, whatever, and like we buy Buicks and we're like Buick's not really a great car, and he's like we buy Buicks. It's what we do. We buy the logo. I like the three little diamonds. I buy Buicks. Didn't matter about the people. Well, now all that's commoditized, right? Like I can find a product in your stack that does what five other products do. They may not be identical, but they're good enough for my MSP. So no different if I'm an architecture engineering company, if I'm a healthcare company, if I'm a finance company, whatever, I can find an MSP that does what you do. Maybe not as well. So really what it boils down to is we look at people first. I want to know who I'm connecting with. I want to make sure that their why supports my why. And then I'll look at the brand and say, does their brand's why support my brand's why? but it's human to human first. I want to know that you're there for me, that when my back's against the wall, that you're going to be able to come in and save the day, right? It's all about human engagement. So we have to change the way in which we engage with people, and love it or hate it, no different than think about all the technology people. I mean, dude, I'm an old route switch guy. Like I love to be able to put my hands on routers and firewalls and all that kind of stuff. And everything moved to the cloud. And there was a lot of IT people that were like, what do you mean you're going to take the hardware out of our server room that's just down the hall? Like it has all the blinking lights. We're going to move everything to the cloud. Like, what do I do? You had to make that transformation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make that transformation if you're going to evolve with the industry. And that means being there. It doesn't necessarily mean being, you're not going to be the next Mr. Beast on YouTube or whatever. And it doesn't even necessarily mean creating video. I default and to video because it over indexes, like usually 6-1 over written and anything else. So I default to video. And everybody's like, I can't be on video. The hell you can't be on video. Now obviously you can't be beautifully as attractive and charismatic as I am, but that's actually not true. It's like we, between school leaders, business leaders, religious leaders, parents, whatever, we've been told, sit down, shut up, sit down, shut up, sit down, shut up. Don't be funny. Don't be charismatic. Don't be whatever. The voice you were born with, that's not your voice today. Your voice today is a culmination of everybody that has influenced you as you grew up. That's not your true voice. You can find your true voice and figure out who you are and engage dynamically with people, right? That it's super easy to do, but it takes some practice, and it's going to suck on day one, and it's going to suck on day five. Like, you know, um, uh, you know, Tara Rumors in the chat, and she started with Oz 66, and now she's creating video like a gangster. Like she's been through 66 days. Matt Topper from ConnectWise did it. Jason Slagle did it. Like, so many people have done it. And what you'll notice is, and I see it in every single one, is like day one, their shoulders are up here and they're breathing out of this much of their chest and they feel like they're going to throw up. And then by day 30, especially by day 66, they're like laid back, they're chilled, they're relaxed. It takes 66 days on average to build a new habit. If you can do it for 66 days, if you can go to the gym, you go to the gym, the first, God, the first 30 days, you're just like, I fucking hate coming to this place. Like, I can't stand it. And then after like 90 days, you're like, you miss a day and you're like, I really miss going to the gym. Whether it's
Yep.
writing, whether it's creating, video, whether it's doing audio, whether it's just engaging with people in the comment section on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, you've got to create that personal brand. And so that requires that you understand what your brand voice is, what your brand archetype is, going back to not only personally, but at the business level. What are our beliefs? What are our values? What's our mission? What's our vision on how we get there? And what do we want people to say about us when we're done? You don't control your brand. Your brand is controlled by the people around you. Now, if there's 1,000 people that follow you, you have 1,000 different brands. The goal is to get all those brands to overlap as closely as possible, right? So what my brand is to you, Alex, versus what my brand is to my ex-wife, I assure you they were vastly, vastly different things.
I'd
But
imagine.
yes. But what I want is I don't care about what her vision of or what her version of my brand is. What I care is what your version of my brand is and other people like you. And I want you to all to overlap just a little tiny bit, right? Is everybody going to love you? No, absolutely not. It's like, we've talked about this before, right? I'm good friends with a guy by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. And some people are like, you're friends with Gary Vaynerchuk? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I fucking hate that guy. And I'm like, yeah, man, I get it. I get it. Like he's a lot. He's a lot, but he's a genuine person like that. I've never seen anybody in my life that cares more about human beings than him. But some people resonate, some people don't, right? And um, that's where you figure out like what is my brand voice, what is my brand archetype, what do I want people to say about me, what is the hero's journey, what is my ICP. Like we're going to walk through all that stuff in the Community Minds workshop. Like if you don't have an ICP, like if I were to ask you, what customer would you say no to, and they're like, well, nobody, everybody needs technology, you don't have a brand position. You do not have a brand position. There has to be somebody you say no to. I'll pick on Seth Kylander from Kai Security out of Denver specifically, right? You go to his website, you go to kaisecurity.com, you know exactly what they do, exactly what they do. And you by that default, you know what they don't do. He has nailed down his ideal customer profile and he's done it really, really well.
Yeah.
So does
No,
creating Go ahead. Go ahead.
I can't disagree enough with everything you just said. It's funny because it quickly resonated back to me, a personal, outside of the industry thing I went through. I have a good family friend who owns a pizza place, and they kind of saw the digital evolution of Grubhub, Emilio, and all these different, delivery apps and everything else that was happening. And looking at that, and they said, hey, we're business kind of struggled a little bit, and we said, um, you know, how are you advertising? How are you getting out there? Because reality is, restaurant and IT services, right? You're one bad review away from the next customer not looking at you. But your story, right? Your people are the thing that no matter what you can't change, right? So if you have if you have a genuine connection with somebody, it is a lot easier to get a good review, a positive review. Whereas if you just walked in and you swiped the card, you slapped the server up and you walked out the door, and they really didn't even remember your name, the likelihood of them turning around and putting in a positive review, very, very low.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that with them, and I said, you're a family-run business, and you're going the second generation of this family-run business. Tell that story.
Yeah.
You spent years in the pizza craft building up, your specialty and your expertise, and then you trained your son to then take that over. Why aren't you telling that story? Let's build a website. Let's write that story out. Let's talk about
Exactly.
who you are and and a nice family picture, right? Dead center.
Yeah.
Um, and that was it, right? That was a total changing point. All of a sudden, they started commenting on social media and doing deals and you know supporting the local community and getting involved with offices and drop your flyer at a bunch of different offices, offer to do catering for them, like a little bit of guerrilla marketing, but a lot of tell the story, tell who you are, and like that is something that you're right. If three people are selling Accent, or three people are selling Datto in the city, I can buy from any of you. It's the same exact service.
Yeah.
But the difference is who's putting it in. Is that person walking in? Do they look, you know, put together? Are they coming in flustered? Are they confident? Are they smiling? Are they engaging with my people? Are they polite? Do they remember the
Right.
secretary's name when they walk in? Like all those things are small little tweaks that just make such an impact.
Yeah. And the other thing that and everybody's like, so what is changing? It's not what is changing, it's what's not changing, which is very, very little, right? Like there's a lot of things happening all at once. Ad
Oh yeah.
saturation is way over indexing. Like I don't focus on the marketing side. I focus on the human behavior side. Why do people do what they do? Because if I can understand what they do, then I know how to get their attention. If I have their attention, I can now sell them something. And if I do it right, I don't even have to sell them because they'll engage with me and say, we're now in the market to buy product X, Y, or Z, change IT providers, offset our IT, our IT business. And we don't really know what's going to happen with the economy yet, but all indicators is that we've been propping up a weak economy for a very, very long time, and it's probably going to go down. This is an enormous opportunity if you're an MSP because the businesses that you serve don't want to keep a 5-person, a 3-person, a 2-person IT staff on board. Why would they not say, I can spend less money going with an MSP that has experts in AAD, M365, O3, like all the different things, security, whatever, like that's a no-brainer, but you have to position yourself correctly. The other thing that's happening at the same time is the buyers are getting younger. So it used to say that 7 people touch a deal before it's done, right? It was always 7 people. The new research is now that that's 9. On your buyer side, there's 9 people that look at a deal and weigh in on whether or not that's the direction they should go. The other piece of that is millennials and Gen Z in um, in 2022, millennials and Gen Z made up 64% of the buyer pool, whether that's the person signing the check saying yes or whether that's the person weighing in on that decision. In 2023, that jumped up to 71%. We're expected to be at 74% by the end of 2024 and 78% by 2025. That's 4 out of every 5 people that you touch. And the way that millennials and Gen Z buy is vastly different. The buyer's journey, that's something else we'll go through at Community Minds, but the buyer's journey has completely changed. The other piece of that is given that younger mindset, they go out and do research. So part of that buyer's journey is they are 70% of the way down the field before they ever engage with somebody in your company. They've already narrowed down the list. They've already started to make a decision, right? As Henry Tim said, right? MSPs suck at differentiation. He's exactly right. Degley said before that in the chat, relationships are the key to many successes in business and personal lives. Absolutely spot on. So how are you going to differentiate yourself and build that relationship. We've all got that one friend, right? That's quote unquote part of our friend group. Um, if you go back to Hot Tub Time Machine, they were in the hospital and they were like, hey, how every group of friends has that one asshole? Well, he's our asshole. Everybody's got that one friend that's like never gives back to the community, to the group of friends, but always asks when he's like, hey man, you guys want to help me move? Hey man, can you guys help me do this? Like he's always asking for something, but never giving back to the group. He's not the one that gets invited on the camping trip, on, to the barbecue, to the whatever, because he's just a drain,
Yep.
So what are you doing to add value upfront that says, I'm going to give you a reason to engage with me by just making your life better? And that doesn't mean going out and going, hey man, we sell some of the best products in the world. Yeah, so does the other 50,000 MSPs in the United States. Like, give me something really that makes me a better business. Do that at scale. And, and so obviously the question is, well, but the statement always is, we've tried this. Well, you didn't walk onto the football field your first year in high school and go, God, I suck at this game. I guess I should just quit. You walked onto the field going, yeah, I suck at this game because it's my first day of two-a-days and I threw up twice. But I'm going to keep at it and I'm going to get better, right? Um, are you going to be the next Michael Jordan no matter how many times you shoot a basket? Probably not, but you'll be a whole lot better than you will after shooting one basket after you've shot 10,000 baskets, right? So you've got to keep at it. Tom Lawrence from Lawrence Systems, and CNWR, he will tell
Hmm.
you it's a long game, man. It's a super, super long game. He's got 350,000 followers on, or subscribers on YouTube. He's been at it years and years. Does it work? Yeah, it works. Look at John Hammond, from Huntress, right? John Hammond's got 1.5 million followers, tons of views on his content. Huntress as a brand has 5,000 subscribers on YouTube and very, very little views. It's not because they're doing anything wrong. It's because John's a human being and Huntress is a logo. So we go and listen to John because he's a person and he talks about things that are valuable and he walks through hacks and whatever. You know, Matt Lee's a great example. This is on the, does it work? Yeah, it works. Look at John Hammond. He's pulling business into Huntress. Look at Tom Lawrence. What's he pulling in? Just from his YouTube channel. Their website gets 90,000 views a month. They're converting about 22% of that. They're doing well north of $1 million, $1.5 million a year just in project work, not including any MRR MSP stuff, just from his YouTube channel, all attributed to him creating content on YouTube, right? Matt Lee could literally, what time is it? It's 11:30 in the morning. Matt Lee could post on LinkedIn today, hey, I'm a free agent. I'm no longer at PAX 8. That dude would have 20 offers in his inbox by 5 p.m. because of the
Easily.
personal brand that he's built. You can be the smartest, you can be one of the smartest people in the room. There are a lot of people, I'll pick on PAX 8 specifically. There's a lot of people at PAX 8 that are absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant people, and nobody knows who they are. So if they were to, decide to separate from PAX 8 or any other company, it would be
Hmm.
really hard for them to start to like get that message out. The time to get that message out is not when you need the business or when you need a job. Time to get the message out is now, right? You know,
100%.
Gary Vaynerchuk started off as this awkward. Go back and just go to tv.winelibrary.com and click on episode 2 and watch. Then go click on episode 180, 6 months in, and episode 365 a year in, and see how he's changed. And he started off as a kid working in his dad's wine store that started making videos about wine. And VaynerMedia just got named Ad Agency of the Year by Adweek. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it works. You got to put in the work. You can't go to the gym one day and walk to the locker room thinking, man, I'm going to be totally ripped. Like it's going to take you a year. If you have 100
Yep.
pounds to lose, it's going to take you a year to lose 100 pounds.
No, 100%. I mean, look, I would encourage anyone who's not done that exercise. We all have probably some podcast, YouTube video channel that we're subscribed to. Go back to the beginning. It's unbelievable. I'm a big car guy outside of work. Um, there's one that I watched that just very much, I caught an early video and I was like, man, this could have been me and my friends. So, like, here's
Yeah.
how to change an oil filter on this car. And we're going to install a new air filter today. And now you fast forward, and the guy's 6 years in. He's got 7 exotic cars that he's building, beautiful home he built. And his comfort level, though, that to me was the jarring part was, oh my God, the horrible video angles, the
Yeah.
awkwardness on camera, the friends' awkwardness on camera to today. with just the comfortability is just unbelievable.
Yeah. And you know, and I'm trust me, I'm a former route switch guy, right? Like I'm as nerdy as they come, and it's like I've got this set behind me, I've got a set over there on that side of the camera, and I've got a set over there. I've got north of $70,000 in camera, lighting, audio, whatever gear in in my basement. My whole entire basement is an unfinished basement, and it is a studio through and through and through. And I'm talking on a $99 Rode mic and a $120 Logitech camera, and I shoot the majority of my video on an iPhone because it's 4K and will do everything I want it to. If you overcomplicate it, you won't do it, right? You know, the question always, let's go back to the workout analogy, right? Like what exercises should I do at the gym? The ones you'll do. Because if I tell you that you need to spend an hour on the treadmill going 6 miles an hour, you're gonna be like, "Nope, that ain't gonna fucking happen." Okay, what will you do? Well, I kind of like that whole like recumbent bike thing that I can sit in and watch YouTube videos while I pedal. Do that. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, make it stupid easy where you can pull out your phone. I mean, you have a phone in your pocket that's got a better camera than Hollywood had 7 years ago.
That's incredible to think about.
Yeah. So, you know, and again, you don't have to create video. I focus on it because it over indexes. Right. Right. Every single day for 66 days. So this we came up with this in the Tech Degenerates channel with Paul Vetter and Matt Lee and Henry Tim and all these people in there where we were talking about this 75 hard program, which is 75 days of gallon of water, work out twice a day, read 10 pages out of a book, no alcohol, pick a diet, whatever. And it's designed to build a habit. So we came up with Auth 66, which is 66 days straight of creating content to make you the authentic you. And it's not a sales pitch or anything like that. It's a totally free thing. You can participate or not participate, but more and more people are picking up steam. It's, you know, as Jason Slagle said, you know, he was like, after like 60, 45 days, 50 days in, he was like, Erik, you've created a monster. He's like, now all I want to do is create video content, you know? And there have been other ones that have been like, I'm glad I got through 66 days. If I never create another piece of video content again, as long as I live, I'll be happy with that. And that's fine too. Go write, go make, you know, PDFs and do a slideshow on LinkedIn or somewhere else on Instagram, you know, a 9-image slideshow, whatever. There's so many opportunities and there's so many avenues, and
Yep.
figure out what your content looks like. You know, I mean, when I'm watching a football game, do I love 3-inch leather pumps or red leather pumps? Yeah, they make my ass look great when I wear them, but it doesn't mean that I'm interested in when I'm watching football. So you have to figure out when that message resonates with me and what platform I'm on. During the day, I'm probably on LinkedIn. The message is a little bit different than it is on Instagram when I'm doom scrolling, right? There's 3 reasons we go online. It is search, discover, escape. I search, I know what I'm looking for, and I have to go find it. Discover, I kind of have an idea, but I want to get some other ideas around it. That's a powerful one right there. And then escape. I'm just going to jump on TikTok for like, you know, 3, 5, 10 minutes, maybe 4 hours and 71 minutes later. And you're like doom scrolling TikTok and you can't stop. And that's the escapism part. Nobody ever goes online to say, I wonder what kind of a sales pitch I can see today or now or whatever, right?
Yep.
So don't pitch. Literally don't pitch, as you said, right? Add value, add value, add value. That's your 3-step process. Business will eventually start to come back to you. Be authentic, be real. Taylor Swift, great example, right?
Hmm.
She is a 3.5 note, 2-octave singer. Taylor Swift, love me or hate me, she's a good singer. She's not an amazing singer. She's not Bella Fleck. She's not any of those people. What
Yep.
she is a gangster marketer, and she's authentic as hell. And she has built a great brand built on authenticity. You know,
Oh,
I don't necessarily care for her music, but I absolutely love Taylor Swift.
yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure Jen's dying in the background here because she is the number one fan. But no, I agree with you. I mean, she's a performer through and through. I mean, the level of production that she puts out, right? It was kind of like Coldplay really started that back in,
Yeah.
or I guess the current generation, right? The light up wristbands and things like that. And it just you watch that kind of build up. Um, yeah, I mean, it's 100%. And then it's back to how do you get your message out there? How do you connect with people? I had a partner out of the Dallas, Texas area that COVID hit, and I think everyone freaked out. And I think one of the hardest parts for MSPs was, and we talked about hallway chat in the beginning with Community Minds. Um, it was how do I get that same advice? When people try to online happy hours and some forums, things like that, but it's still not the same as being able to grab somebody and say, "Hey, let's go grab a burger." I got a couple things I'd love to run by you. And this guy just said, "Screw it, people." He was freaked out by it and said, "My customers are probably doing the same." And he jumped online and said, "I know this is scary, and I know that we're going to talk to you about moving your office remotely. Here's some things you can do on your end that'll help you out. Doesn't matter who your provider is. If it's us, great. And here's a way to contact us. But if not, here's some things that'll just make your life a little bit easier. Here's some things you should think about in your office." And it was such easy content, but he threw on, he has the basketball shorts and then the suit up top, and he sat there in the office recording these and just putting them out. That guy grew his business so exponentially during COVID. He sold to a major company. Um, Cashed out. I mean, he made millions, and he taken this business over from his father, and it was a lifestyle business, and it was okay. But I mean, he's now a very very wealthy man who spends most of his time playing poker and hanging out. So,
Yeah.
um, just getting out there can be such a step. And
Yeah.
captivate. I love what you hit on the beginning, which is understanding the trends in the market and what's coming next, and being smart enough to listen to the people around you and capitalize on that. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, I looked at every business sat there and said, "Are we going to be here in 6 months?" When COVID first hit, because it felt like the world was just completely locked down. And if anything, we saw with B-Boy, oh, everybody needs to go remote. People need phones where they're going to be. Those old school phone systems where something's still plugged into a copper line, that's not going to work for them when
No.
all their customers or all their employees are at home. So there was a lot of change happening, but if you put out the right content, if you got ahead of it, if you worked and evolved with it, I mean, it's the old Netflix blockbuster conversation, right?
Yeah. Blockbuster was like, people want to come into the store. They want to look at candy. They want to browse the videos. And I'm like, what in the hell? And he was like, Netflix isn't going to last. Mailing DVDs to people, like, boy, talk about a missed opportunity there, right? Sears Roebuck started as a catalog business. You had to order from a catalog. Then they got rid of the catalog, or slowly got rid of it as they built a physical store and refused to re-identify their online digital catalog presence. And look where they're at now, right? You're
I
exactly
would
right.
say
It's like,
though, I would
good.
love to get one of those Sears catalog homes
Oh,
now.
dude, so dope. Those Sears catalog homes where it was like $4,000 and it showed up on a truck and they put it together for you, or you put it together yourself. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, what I would like, it was the original tiny home.
they're not even tiny homes though. So I'm in the Northeast. I'm in upstate New York. We have areas that are full of them, and some of them are these beautiful old colonials, and they're still standing. They are rock solid today.
Oh,
And it was, oh my uncle's kind of handy. He got all the stuff, dropped it off in front of our house, and then built the house himself, or hired local contractors to help him build it.
yeah,
And yeah, what a cool idea. But yeah, I mean that's a great idea, a great example of a brand that was at its peak, identified as one of the premier American companies, and then how
yeah.
downhill that went,
You
became the
know,
budget
I'll
brand.
I'll use a local Denver MSP as an example. It's a company called K3 Technology. They started in 2017. I think they're 13 or 15 employees, I think. They just made their first acquisition. They acquired an MSP in Dallas. They just made the MSP 501 list. They just made Colorado Companies to Watch. There's another award that they're getting in August that is embargoed, so I can't say anything about. But this is 100% of this is based on when they go in, they view everything through the lens of the customer. Like your customer's terrified of QBRs because what they think it is, they think that's some acronym for, shitty sales pitch. Like what you're going to try to sell us more crap every single quarter. Your QBR shouldn't even talk about you or your product. Your QBR should be a quarterly business review. How's business going? What are the hurdles? What are the successes? What things do you think could be more efficient? How do we do that? Think about when you hire a CFO, right? You don't hire a CFO to write up a general ledger and go, yeah, you have this much money left. You hire a CFO to dig deep and go, this is what we should be doing. This is what we shouldn't be doing. This is where we should invest. This is how we can grow our money. Like they view the business through the lens of finance. That's what a good CFO does, is what a good lawyer does on the legal side. As their
Yeah,
technology partner, you've got to be leaning into their business and going, why did you start this stupid idea in the first place? Like, what was your big, stupid, hairy, audacious goal of when you started, Bob and Bob Incorporated? And they'll tell you what that is. And you're like, how close are you to getting to that goal? Now, where do you want to be in 6 months, 12, 18, 36 months? And what are the roadblocks in the way? And they're like, well, it's not really a technology thing. It's a this thing. And this is really what's hurting us. You're right. That's not a technology thing, but possibly through the lens of technology, we can solve that. Especially now as we look at things like Copilot. Like Copilot is not great AI for AI's sake, but inside of a tenant, if you configure it correctly and you have it summarize stuff, like give me the last 5 clients we did this for and tell us where, and summarize like what the roadblocks were, what the things that we missed were, all those kinds of things. It'll give you a gangster summary of a lot of stuff you've done. Like you can speed up processes. And it's not just about like, oh, I can replace employees X, Y, and Z with AI. It's about reimagining your business through the lens of AI. And so those are the type of aha moments you can give to your customer where you're like, hey, did you know it could do this? Did you know it could do this? I mean, I could see an MSP creating an entire video series, 12 videos on what Copilot can do and how awesome it is without ever saying, hey, if you want to come get, buy Copilot, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to sell it to you. That's implied,
Yep.
man. That's implied. They know that they know exactly who you are. They're watching your content. If they need it, they'll come to you, right? But just offer
Yep.
all this value. And then even if it's somebody that isn't a decision maker that sees it, it's a lower level mid manager, lower manager, just regular employee, whatever at a company. Somebody may come to them and say, again, 71% of millennials and Gen Z now, they might come to them and say, what do you think about this whole AI thing? Be like, dude, I was just watching a video on this Copilot thing, and here's what I think, right? Um,
Yep.
and that kind of leads into the yeah, but everybody else is talking about AI as well. Okay, let's go back to that high school thing, right? It's like Jen Morrison with VBoy. She used to be a teacher. We've all had those teachers where it's like, God, this teacher that taught history, just like I don't get it. Like they're boring, they don't resonate, whatever. And then the second half of the year, I get Jen as a teacher, and you're like, Jen's awesome. It's one of the best teachers I've ever had. Jen's teaching almost the same curriculum that any other teacher would teach. It's the way in which she delivers it and the way in which it resonates with me. I have no doubt that, Tony Robbins is probably really knows his shit. I can't listen to a word the guy says because it just doesn't resonate with me. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I just can't stand it. But the guy doesn't have millions and millions of followers for no reason at all. The same is
Yep.
true with you. You could hear Matt Lee say it. You could hear Degley say it. And then Henry Tim says it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it totally clicks. It's not that they delivered a different message. It's not that one's smarter than the other or better than the other. It's the way that they delivered it that resonates with you. And the other thing is that I may not be following the 23 people that are talking about it right now on LinkedIn and seen it, but I might be following you. And so when you talk about it for the 24th time, it's new to me. I haven't heard it before, right? So don't be
Yep.
afraid to get out there and start adding value around things that everybody else has added value around already. I mean, I literally, dude, I like if I could share my screen, I would show you like I have an entire Notion database that is literally just content ideation. And every time I see something on LinkedIn where like Matt Lee leaves something or you leave something or George or just anybody, Ken Patterson, whatever. And I'm like, I have some ideas and some thoughts on that. I have a different view or perspective on that. I literally bring up Notion on my phone. I go in, I copy the link to the LinkedIn post, I post it, I give it a category and a domain as far as like what topic it's around, and then take a few notes. And now I can go back to that. And I think right now I have like 385 ideas in Notion, and that didn't take long to get there. Like you could create 5 videos a day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week for a year and never run out of stuff to talk about. It's a
Yep.
conversation. It's not a speech. You don't all get together at the bar and have a beer to hear one person talk while you all shut up and listen. It's a conversation. Social's the exact same way. So you either figure out how to leverage that and evolve through this process, or you will just simply evaporate, right? That's it's really
100%.
that easy, And for
Yep.
for every one of the MSPs, it's like, I'm older, it's stupid, I'm not going to do it, I don't believe you, I think you're wrong. You are welcome to think that I'm wrong. You're welcome to disbelieve all this. And the other MSPs that are doing it, they thank you because they're going to beat you. And it doesn't matter if you've got 20 employees and really, really solid tech and a bunch of really good experienced engineers, and the one-man band MSP that's down the block from you has himself, and he maybe has a few certs, and he has a little bit of a stack. If he outmarkets you, he gets to the customer first. The customer signs with him. They might figure out that this guy doesn't have a clue what the hell he's doing, but it's going to take him 6 to 12 months to get there. So what are you
Yep.
doing for the next 6 to 12 months rather than landing that customer, right?
100%. And
Yeah.
I think we saw this evolution happen a couple of years ago, right? You watched the MSPs, you said, I don't want to be the guy that you come to when your keyboard breaks. I
Yeah.
want to be involved in the decision. I want to be part of, and put me in there as your CTO. I should be in your leadership meetings. I should be in your quarterlies and your annuals. Um, and what a difference that made for those MSPs that made that transition, because now all of a sudden you have a say into the budget. You have a say into, if they're not deciding the budget, come back to you and go, oh, sorry, we way under budgeted for tech, but
Yeah.
sorry, deal with it. We'll talk
100%.
about it again next year. Instead, you're saying, oh, wait, before ink that, did you think about the fact that Mary's been on the same computer for 6 years and that thing's going to literally melt into her desk shortly? We should probably put in a new computer for Mary. And while we're at it, hey, that server's been running for a really long time. And that's also probably, like those conversations need to happen ahead of time. You can't be reactive to everything, and you're not going to ever be proactive if you're not
Yeah.
doing quarterlies and all those things. But that evolution happened. And that evolution, if you haven't done that yet, I highly encourage you to start. But that evolution happened over the last 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
The next evolution is this, right? The next evolution is bringing the human aspect of it. It's bringing that human connection and being able to not only be in those conversations but continue to those conversations are what's going to continue to grow your current customers and keep your current customers. The other piece is what's going to grow your partner base, your customer base.
Yeah.
Yep.
And once you build that trust, everything's built on trust, right? So it's like, who
Mhm.
do I know? What do they know? All these components, how much value have they added? Does it build a memory and does that memory build trust? Once you have that trust with that customer, they're going to pull you into those meetings where they're like, this is the initiative we're facing, right? It's like, we don't think it's a tech thing, but we look up a bunch of leads and stuff in Apollo, but we're using HubSpot for our CRM and they're kind of disjointed. And you're like, that can be solved with technology. Like, yeah, we have an answer for that. Like all of these things where it's like you normally wouldn't even have visibility into it because they're a little bit afraid to expose stuff because they're afraid you're going to try to pitch them something and sell them something. All that stuff, just continues to stack and add value. Henry Tim put in the chat, Bob Coppedge from Simplex IT. He does a
Yep.
great, great, great job at this. Like, go watch his videos. Zero pitch in any of them. I've never seen a video from him that pitches anything. It's all
Yep.
value. It all talks about stuff that you can use and walk away with. Um, Dagley, yeah, Dagley just said, you need to immerse yourself in your client's daily operation. Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's an MSP, and if you do that, as Dagley said, if you do that, um, not only will your client recommend you to other people, your client will never ever leave you, even when you raise your prices. I won't mention it by name because it's not my story to tell, but there's an MSP that charges significantly more than the $150 to $300 you would normally find in an MSP. They're charging significantly more than that. And their thought was, what if I could double my rate, cut my customers in half? Even if half my customers left, I'd still be making the same amount of money, but I would have less customers to deal with by making the same money. So they doubled their rates again. Like it's an astronomical fucking number. Like it's ridiculous. They doubled the number again, and 80% of their customers stayed because of the service that they provide. Right. I mean, so years ago, many, many years ago, early days, like me, John Street, Ryan Walsh, a few other people talking about PAX 8 and what John's idea was and what Ryan's idea was. And God, do you really jump into the distributor market where there's Ingram and there's TD and there's Cinex and there's DH and SureWeb and all, like, you really jump into that market? And as we are trying to figure out the why, like, why should anybody care? Why do you get out of bed in the morning and why should I give a shit? That's really what your customer should be thinking about you as an MSP. Why do you get out of bed in the morning and why should I care? Why do I care that you get out of bed in the morning? Because I care about you. And we sat there and Ryan Walsh literally said, why would somebody choose PAX 8? Because of the experience you get when you work with us. And we're like,
Yep.
write
That's
that
it.
shit on the whiteboard right now. Like he'll tell you that same story. Like he remembers that moment where he wrote that on the whiteboard, and it was like, that's it. It's not about the tech stack. It's not about the product. Now with Scott Chasen at the helm, they're getting ready to innovate like crazy, and I can't wait to see what they do because that guy is a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
God damn, is he smart? Um, but so I think they'll build even more innovative stuff. But it really boiled down to, we get a different experience when we work with PAX 8. I can buy from Ingram. I can buy from any other distributor out there. I buy from them because of the experience, because of the way they treat me, the way they handle me. That's what makes all the difference. And that's what makes people not want to leave PAX 8. Go
Yep.
out to our MSP and look and say, hey, I'm starting a brand new MSP and I don't know where to buy all my stuff from. What do you see? Do you see 36 people saying go buy from Ingram? No, you might find one or two that say I do buy from Ingram, but you'll find 36 people saying packs eight, packs eight, packs eight, packs eight, packs eight.
Yep. And they're
Like,
all tagging their account reps and,
yeah,
oh, my guy's great. Talk to them. And
dude, they
yep.
become your extended marketing arm that works for free. So if your vertical is healthcare, get in good with healthcare people and make them understand. And it's not just the decision maker, it's not the director of IT, it's not any of that. It's everybody everywhere in the organization. So when they're at mixers and things like this and whatever, and medical professionals, especially nurses, man, can they drink? And when they go to events and parties and stuff and social events and conferences, they're gonna inadvertently run into somebody else. It's like, yeah, our doctor's office is a mess, whatever. And they're like, you need to call XYZ because they know what the hell they're doing. They handle our tech. And like, we went from a 9-person IT department to a 3-person IT department, and they do day-to-day stuff. And these guys handle all the projects and the big ideas. And like they will, if you treat them right, they will sing your praises, right? That's where we go through that buyer's journey again, as far as loyalty, advocacy, and then a believer, right? So like loyalty is, yeah, I'm loyal to, like, for example, LED lights. I'm loyal to Govee, right? I think they make a better light. They're more
Great.
cohesive operating
Yeah.
system. If somebody came out with another one, yeah, I'd be open to switching. I bought other brands of LED lights. I'm somewhat loyal to them. Will I advocate? Yeah, I'll tell other people I would probably go with Govee. Like when people ask me advice on like accent lighting and stuff, I'm like, go with Govee. Am I a believer? I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. However, I don't care who the fuck makes a phone. If it's not Apple, I'm out. I'm a believer of the Apple ecosystem, right? They
Yep.
have me, they have indoctrinated me. And that's what you're shooting for, either as a vendor or as an MSP, is to get those few people that are true believers that will never ever leave because of the way you treat them, because of the comfort that you have in their system. There's a million different factors that go into it, but that's what you want. That's how you measure brand. Are they loyal? Do they advocate, or are they a believer? If you can get them to the point of believer, you've got them for life. Now
100%.
you could really fuck that up and make that not be the case. But generally, you've got them for life unless you do something real stupid.
100%. Henry Tim dropped a nice piece of knowledge in the chat there. He said it's important to occasionally go to industry events for your clients. So especially if you're an MSP that's specializing in dental, you better be at the dental association.
Huge.
Um, or if you aren't specialized in one area, right? Get yourself to one or two of them a year, especially if they're local and they're easy to get to and it's not a huge cost for you. That's going to be huge for you because you're going to understand, if you can't get your client to open up, hearing other people, whether it's at a bar, at a session, at a lunch, and the trials and things that they're going through in their day to day.
Yeah.
And not only that, but that client seeing you there and going, "Oh, you're supporting my industry," is great, right? I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it, so definitely appreciate that. I mean, look, speaking on the specialized ones, I think that if you can specialize, you can do it right, you can do it well, you can make a great business off it, right? And I always think back to Paul Franks when I was at Datto. He took off the shelf Datto, rebranded it, created a whole brand around it called Evidence Locker. He went to every police department he could find and said, "I'm the number one solution for police departments to store body cam footage. By
Yeah.
law, you have to store body cam footage for X amount of years. I'll make sure that never goes anywhere. You're never going to end up in the hot seat with the judge." They said, "Sign away." And
Yeah.
that guy made massive business just off of reselling data. He never worried about anything else.
Right.
Um, that's marketing. I mean, that was straight up. He created a brand, he created a story, and he sold it really well. But he also created that trust with those clients, and there was no question on who you call if you need to start storing your body cam footage.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
Bonkers.
that was
Yeah,
100%.
you're spot on, and so is Henry, right? It's like you've got to take that move to say, I decide what industries I serve, but more importantly, what I don't serve, and then I need to figure out a way to say that I know this industry as well as they do. And the way to do that is by going to events, going to conferences, participating online on LinkedIn. Go follow the people from these companies. Figure out where they're creating content. Is it a Facebook group? Is it a LinkedIn group? Is it somewhere else? What content are they creating? Is it on Reddit? And listen and go, what problems are you facing? How are you solving this? How are you solving that? They'll tell you what they need if you shut up long enough to listen. The problem is most of us don't shut up. We're so busy talking about how awesome we are. We don't have the opportunity to listen because we're too busy running our fucking mouth. So shut up and listen, and they'll tell you everything they need. And then you come back and go, yeah, man, we do that. We do it better than anybody else. It's amazing. Not only that, we'll bring you warm cookies on Friday and we'll give you a hug when we leave. You want milk? We'll bring milk.
I had a
Yeah,
client recently came to us and said, "Hey, I have an idea of an integration back to this very specific industry that I support, and it's the most hated job in that office. And I've polled probably about 30 of these clients, and they all say that one thing is their most hated thing. Is there a way that you could develop something to fix that?" And we said, "Yeah, I think so." So went back to our developers, brought them into the meeting, and we're building it out for that guy. That guy is going to absolutely crush it when
yeah,
we're done with this. He's going to take, not only is that partner base all going to buy in, but he's going to turn around and he's going to sell to everybody else in that industry he can get to. And it's going to be at a lower cost than the other alternatives that are out there now that are completely separate system. But again, that's somebody who listened to the pain point. They saw that over and over and over again. That was the issue, and then
yeah,
said, "I bet you that vendor's close enough where they could probably develop something that would tie in that would fix it."
100%.
And he's creating a solution now.
Yeah. Yeah, if you find a bunch of people in an office that hate a specific task, they're not the only one in that vertical that hates it. Good chance
Yeah,
everybody in every other vertical. But again, that's a matter of just shut up and listen. It will all come to you if you just. I really actually I don't know that I'll ever write a book because I just don't. I'm not a big fan of writing a book, but I want to write a. I've always wanted to write a book and title it "Shut the fuck up, your customer is talking."
love
Because
that.
yeah, like just shut up. They'll tell you everything they want and need to know if you just stop talking long enough, but we don't. We're way too busy, talking about how great we are. So shut the fuck up. Your customer is talking. Listen. That's all you got to do. Real easy. Yeah. Less
100%.
effort than talking. It's less effort than talking. All you have to do is listen. You don't even have to come
Yep.
up with something witty and fun to say. Yeah.
Eric, I know we are at the top of the hour, so I am going to give it a second here. If anybody has any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or the chat. We'll keep those open for a minute here. I know you've been on these a bunch of times, but I'm still going to ask the same thing in case there's any first-time listeners for you. What's the best way to get a hold of you? What's the best way for people to engage?
Um, thank you, Tara. Tara said this was seriously great. Thank you for your honesty, Eric. Degley, may I ask you for a favor? Can we stop calling them customers? Customers conveys transactions. Yeah, dude, Degley is spot on. I'm a big fan of that. I would either call them either clients or
Totally
even
fair.
better, call them partners. They're partners.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of completely getting rid of managed service provider. That term can go hang out with the term webmaster. I would call yourself a TSP, which is a technology service partner or technology solutions partner, not a provider. You're a partner in their business or a business success partner. That's how you should be operating is you're a business success partner. This isn't about the tech. This is about the business. Degley spot on, man.
100%. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. How do you get a hold of me? Erik Boles, ErikBoles on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. That's about it. I mean, you could
And
probably
that's
try
where
to
you're
find
making
me.
your content.
Yeah, you could probably, yeah, we're and that's actually today's Thursday, right? Starting on Monday, we're going to that next evolution with what we're doing with Vosa and content is going to become a main focus. I've been, people bug me all the time, like, but you're not creating content. I'm like, not yet. Just wait, motherfucker. Just wait.
Hold on.
And it's
And I
coming on
would
Monday.
say with that, if you are not following Vosa, now is a good chance to get in there, follow that, like them. As you can see, Eric is a content machine. He will absolutely transform your business. He mentioned earlier, but Tara on here is a great, great example of that, and plenty of other people who followed his lead. So if you have not yet engaged with him, I highly encourage it. If you're not following his stuff, Vosa stuff, now is the time. Get in before the wave, and you have to catch up on all the old videos. And last but not least, I hope you guys join us in Denver in September. We'd love
Please
to
do.
see everybody there. And thank you for everybody in the chat and watch us live. Talk to you guys again soon. See you on Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Eric. Bye.